There we go. Just give it a minute to load up. Okay, I think that's us started. That's great. So good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, or if you're watching on demand later on, and thank you for joining us as well. We're doing a webinar today for precision medicine with specialisms and cancer research and precision oncology. So we have representatives from both of those programs with us today. We've got some admin support, and we're hoping to address as many of your questions as we can. If you submitted your question when you registered with us, then I should have it on this sheet here, and we're going to go through them all. But we're here for you for the next half hour. So if there's any other questions that occur to you, anything else that you wanted to ask, then you should have access to a little Q&A box on your screen, and you can just dive in there and ask anything. We'll do our best to answer it in the session. If following on from this, you still have questions, then you can also contact us. So you can email me. I'm Sarah McQueen. I'm the person that sent you the email, and I work in the graduate school, and I will pass it on to the relevant person. Or you can contact your administrator. And the easiest way to find their email address is to go to the program webpage on the university website. Right at the top, there's a little blue box, and it's got contact details in the top. So the email address in there goes to your administrator, and they tend to know everything. And if they don't know the answer, they know who to send you to. So that's also another way that you can get your questions in. Without further ado, we'll get started, and we're going to start with some introductions. So as you can see, we've got lots of academics and staff here. So I'm just going to go around everyone and ask you to introduce yourself, let us know in what capacity you are here with us today, and maybe a little bit about research interests and things like that, if that's all right. So if I could start with Dr. Martin McBride.
Hi guys, my name is Dr. Martin McBride. I'm a senior lecturer in the Institute of Cardiovascular Medical Sciences, and I'm the co-director of 2 precision medicine programs at the University of Glasgow, one of which is Precision Medicine and Pharmacological Innovation. It's an SFC funded course. But the one we're here to talk about today is Precision Medicine with Specialisms. What I do, I participate in some of the teaching on the course. I'm one of the de facto advisors of studies, but a lot of my time is spent sifting through potential projects for students, whether it's with business, with the NHS, or in the wet lab. My research interests involve attempting to identify genes that drive cardiovascular disease, and then almost by default SNPs and genes and pathways that these genes are involved in. That's me in a nutshell.
No, that's perfect. Thank you, Martin. Dr. Carolyn Lovatt.
Hi, my name's Dr. Carolyn Lovatt. I've been quite involved with the design of the programme, along with my other colleague who's here, Dr. Eliza Graham. I'm very much involved with the new Precision Medicine with Specialisms programme. So I'm a lecturer in the MBLS graduate school, and I'll be doing teaching on the new precision medicine programme. So I'm a co-course coordinator with my colleague Dr. Eliza Graham for a few of the courses, including the precision diagnostics and therapeutics, the seminar series, the lab course, and the inflammatory disease courses. In terms of my research background, before I took up my current post in the MBLS graduate school, I was a postdoctoral researcher at the Beatson, and so my main research background has been in cancer. In particular, I've been looking at cell signalling and molecular genetics and mouse models of cancer. So thank you. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to obviously meeting all the new students on the programme.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Dr. Leslie Graham.
Hi everyone, my name's Eliza Graham, and Carolyn's already given a lovely introduction to pretty much what I do as well. So I am also a lecturer at the MBLS grad school and have been involved in putting this new programme together. and I'll also work on the same courses that Carolyn's already given an overview of. Just to briefly sort of give my background, I was a postdoc over in ICAM, so the same institute as Martin. Martin was actually my PhD supervisor, and I continued on after my PhD looking at essential hypertension and genes that cause hypertension in Martin's group. So I'm a cardiovascular scientist, essentially. So that's my background. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Laura Richmond.
Morning, guys. Yes, my name's Laura Richmond, and like Leslie and Carolyn, I'm a graduate school lecturer, specifically for the Institute of Cancer Sciences. So I'm one of the programme lecturers on the Cancer Research and Precision Oncology programme. And I also provide academic support. So that can range from transitioning this course for this year to a more online distance learning format. And throughout the course, I'll be there to answer any questions, concerns you have for your studies. You'll see me delivering some lectures, you'll see me in tutorials, a bit of everything. In terms of my research background, I've been most heavily involved in a sort of molecular genetics and molecular therapeutics context. So I've worked on some CRISPR, I've done some time in industry working on CAR-T immunotherapy, and most recently I was based in the Paul Gorman Leukemia Research Centre, where I was working on AML and molecular mechanisms underpinning AML.
Perfect, thank you very much. And Allison Valentine, if you'd like to give a wee intro.
Hello everyone, my name's Allison and I work in the PGT department as the programme administrator. I work with the Cancer Research and Precision Oncology programme as well as 2 other PGT programmes. My previous background was I worked in undergraduate medicine, so the PGT programme is slightly new to me, but I'm looking forward to working with you all and hearing about your experiences.
Perfect, thank you. So if you have any questions relating to cancer research or you email that admin there, then it goes to Allison. And for anything for precision medicine, it goes to Nikki, who is not here to stand up for herself when we say, oh, email Nikki, she'll know the answer to all these questions that we don't know the answers to. But anyway, we're going to get started now and go through some of the questions that were submitted. So I'm just going to take it. Some of them are probably relevant to both courses. We are doing a bit of a mishmash together today because there's a little bit of overlap in terms of the studies that you can do. So some of them we could probably cover for both programs and some of them are a bit more specific, but we'll work through those. And as I say, any other questions, get them in via the Q&A and we're happy to answer those either in session or via email later on as well if we can't get to them. So we've had a question specifically about the project for cancer research, but I think it would probably be good to do this for both programs. So as we've had it for cancer research, first of all, would you like to maybe talk about the projects, the kinds of things that you might work on, maybe how you choose, like what the process is like for deciding what you want to do your project on? And we'll do that first of all for cancer research, and then I'll also do it for precision medicine as well. And so Laura?
Yep. So in terms of the project, the actual sort of titles and subjects of the projects aren't decided until a little bit later on. But to give you an idea of some of the projects that were done this year, I can give you a couple of the titles. And there's quite a lot of variation in them, so you do have a really big scope to choose something that really appeals to you, rather than just sort of being given one that we pick for you. So we had projects looking at target validation using CRISPR, so that's sort of looking at very molecular based methods. We had dendritic cell organization and immunotherapy, so that's sort of down a completely different route. We had cancer cell metabolism. We had, what else did we have? We had ubiquitin ligase focused project. We had BH3 profiling to investigate therapies for blast phase CML, which again is looking at more sort of mechanisms and techniques. We had chemoresistance in pediatric AML, the role of FOXO1 in CLL. So as you can see, there's a really big variation in terms of what you get the opportunity of looking at. So the project titles will be offered up to you, and I believe you are able to choose your first, I think it's your first 3 first 3 choices, and then taken from that, we aim obviously to give you your first choice, and if that's not possible, then your second or your third. So you really do, you have some scope to choose something that really interests you. You're able obviously to speak to the members of staff, the supervisors who are actually going to be in charge of those projects, so that you can get an idea of what it'll be like to work with them, so you can get more of an idea of their background, what their lab does, and you can kind of structure the project in a way that you want it to, so that you get out of it what you want out of it. I think that covers most of it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And at what stage in the program does this start? Do you start looking at the project? Is that, because I think we've also had a question which is about, if we choose to enroll in the research project component of the course, what would a standard week look like for a wet lab project? Is it 9 to 5, 5 days a week, extended hours, or does it depend on the type of project we're given by the school?
So in terms of a wet lab project, that would generally be it would generally look like a 9 to 5, 5 days a week. So it's treated as that's your full-time role at the university over the 15 weeks or so that your project is for. So it would be treated as a 9 to 5, and there might be days that, you know, you're not there till 5 o'clock, or you're not in at 9 o'clock. There may even be days when you're not in for anything, and you can be working on your write-up, you can be working on your literature review, but generally speaking, it looks like a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
Okay, that's perfect. So I guess the same question then to precision medicine. I don't know who would be best, who wants to jump in and take this one first, but if we could talk about when you would look to choose, the support there for choosing, and then what your timetable might look like when you're working on your project.
Who wants to go?
Martin, as you'd mentioned about projects, or
yeah, sure. So there's quite a wide variety of choice for the precision medicine with specialisms. It's going to depend on the type of specialism you decide to focus on. Will it be cardiovascular, will it be cancer, or will it be inflammatory? That really is going to decide where you end up in terms of where you do your project. Very similar to what Laura was saying. If wet labs projects are offered next year, then that's exactly what you'd find. You'd find it'll be 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and that doesn't suit all our students by any means. But if you're going to undertake a wet lab project, then that's the kind of commitment I think you need to make for 12 weeks for the summer. In terms of additional types of projects, then we're going to be offering industrial projects as well. We have the opportunity to work with industrial partners. That includes the NHS. Even through quite difficult times this year, we were able to offer about, with our PPI course, we were still able to offer about 50% of the class an industrial placement that was remotely supervised by these partners. And that turned out to be very successful. Projects went really well this year. The other thing I would say is that with industrial partners, the types of projects offered spans the full spectrum of precision medicine. So they go from business at one end of the spectrum right through to wet lab work, with pretty much everything in between, whether it be programming or whatever. Leslie, Carolyn, happy for you to jump in.
We've just got another couple of things to add. So some of the industrial partners that we've managed to get on board with this programme can offer some imaging projects as well. So we've got the ICE facility up at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital. So the MRI scanner up there, there's some available projects there. We've also got Canon involved as well. So they would be able to take some people for data projects. So just some additional information to give you the sort of scope of projects, just to add a bit more to what Martin's already said. And there are obviously the academic projects as well, so working in the labs with PIs that work at the university. So lots of different things.
So I have 2 other quick points to make. One thing is that I try and engage the students on day one, actually, to sort out what type of project that they're really looking for. And that gives us a bit of time to focus. Now, we can't we can't guarantee that this is going to work out, but that's something that's been really successful in the past. There was one other point about projects that is slipping my mind there. It comes back to me, I'll maybe jump in.
No, that's fine. And actually, the point you just made has kind of brought me on to the next topic that I was hoping to start, which is, obviously, it's a tricky question. We'll do our best to answer it, but what teaching is going to look like when we've had a lot of questions about how many days of the week, hours of the week, will there be classes? What will, where's it gone? Will there be any in-person teaching during the first term? And are there currently any plans to hold in-person labs? So I guess general questions about what teaching is going to look like with the pandemic in mind, when things might be looking to become more hands-on, given that this is obviously a hands-on course to an extent. And I guess before I pass that over, I would say if you weren't already aware of this as a participant or as a student, the latest arrival date that we have at the moment is the 11th of January for both programs, I believe. So I would assume going forward that we're looking to do more blended learning for the first semester, and then you would need to be on campus and hopefully looking to moving into the labs in second semester. But if I could maybe open that up for cancer research to have a chat about first.
Absolutely.
And
then... so I'll touch on the labs first. So at the moment, the practical week that's involved in the core skills course as part of the programme, that at the moment is scheduled for February. That's currently all still scheduled to go ahead and has been planned at a 2-metre social distance, so that even if regulations don't change and allow for more sort of close working, we are still able to run the practical week by just spacing things out a bit. So as I said, that is still all scheduled to go ahead. Obviously, it's impossible to predict really what's going to happen between now and then, but very much our hope is that we will still be able to offer that practical hands-on time. And that's blocked into just that week. So it's not something that is spaced out throughout the length of the programme. It's just for that one practical block. In terms of what teaching looks like, at the moment we are pre-recording all of the lecture material, and that is to allow us to be able to upload it onto the Moodle for you, and for you to be able to learn at your own pace with it, really. We completely understand that it's quite difficult sitting looking at a computer screen for a long time, and so we've broken this up to allow it to be a bit more accessible, and also for it to be delivered asynchronously, so you don't have to be present live at every session that's being delivered. You can pick the lectures up in your own sort of your own time at your own pace. There will be some live sessions, so at the moment tutorials for each course and certain study group sessions will be run live, and for semester 1 those will be live via Zoom, and there will be generally no more than 2 or 3 of them in a week, and the timetable has been sort of specifically designed by myself such that your live sessions are always at the same time every week. So you can block off a certain amount of time that you need to be available live, and that will be across multiple courses. So your timetable shouldn't change too much from course to course, to allow you to sort of to plan your schedule ahead of it and to sort of know what's going on.
Perfect, thank you. And I might quickly also, this might be more for Allison actually. We had some questions about, firstly, timetables not showing up yet with certain things. So Cancer Seminar Series wasn't showing up for one person, and Moodle courses not showing up yet. But I appreciate that. I think that's still a work in progress and it is all being dealt with as soon as we can. But if you got anything you might want to add to that?
Just exactly what you said, Sarah. Just we're currently timetabling, so just maybe a wee disclaimer here that students should be aware that what they see in their timetable app might not necessarily reflect the full teaching schedule, and that everything will be finalised for the start of the programme. But if any student has any queries about their timetabling, I know a lot of students have part-time jobs, please do not hesitate to contact the administrator of your programme and they can clarify the teaching schedule.
Yeah, That's
and I can
perfect.
touch on the Moodle part of that.
Okay, yeah.
Similar to the timetable, the Moodle pages at the moment are still being finalised. So I'm still working on just getting the last bits and pieces of lecture material up there for at least the first courses. Obviously, again, as you can understand, everything is taking a very different format this year, but your first course at minimum will be up for the start of term on the 9th.
Yeah, and you're going to say something, Alison? Sorry.
I've got a question here about arrival times.
Yes.
So I know certainly for the cancer programme, the 11th of January, students should arrive on the 11th of January and self-isolate for 14 days after that. I had a few inquiries this week about should they arrive beforehand and then self-isolate up to the 11th of January date, but it's not. The 11th of January has been selected so that students have time to self-isolate and then they'll be asked to go on campus after that.
I didn't appreciate that, so that's good for me to know as well, because I probably would have not realised that. And I assume that's probably the same then for precision medicine in terms of, I know that on the website its latest arrival deadline is the 11th of January, so then that must include isolation time. And then the deadline for completing registration and enrolment, I think for both, is the 23rd of November.
Yeah, we as
right?
administrators will be sending out regular reminders to students about registration, so there'll be complete instructions as to what courses you should enrol in and the deadlines for each of these, but the basic advice is if you can complete this as soon as possible, that will help to ensure you're on the correct Moodle pages and that you're enrolled onto the correct courses. But again, if you've got any questions, please do email your programme administrator.
Yeah, and just before then we move on to discussing the sort of structure for precision medicine and what that's going to look like, we have had another question which is about how and when we'll get the study material. Moodle, I would have thought, would be the first place to go. So as soon as we have it all set up for you, it is, we're trying to get it sorted as soon as we can, but once you've got access to Moodle, everything should be on there. And you can always contact your academics as well. I'm sure you won't mind me saying if you have any queries or about if you wanted to find something extra or you can't find something on Moodle, then once you get started you'll have the contact details for everyone that you need to ask those questions. Okay, so for precision medicine then, the questions specifically about the sort of teaching structure and things like that. We've got how many days of the week are there classes, are there placements done in the university, and let me see, and will there be in-person teaching during the first term? So I don't know who wants to
maybe start with this actually. So quite similar to what Laura's already discussed. So Carolyn and I have started to put the timetable together for the new courses. So these are the core courses for precision medicine. And we've also tried to schedule them at the same time on the days that they'll run. Similar to what Laura said as well, everything will be pre-recorded or will be recorded on the day that the sessions are given. So this will allow the students to access them as and when they can. We will support the recorded and live sessions with additional tutorials. So again, the same as what Laura's already mentioned for cancer sciences. In terms of the lab teaching, so precision medicine has a core lab skills course that is actually due to run in the first semester. So this has been timetabled to start in December. However, obviously we know some people might not arrive until January. So there is an opportunity for this to run again in the second semester, this lab course. However, there will be virtual tools, to use on Moodle and things if students want to try and have a go at it, if they're not here, and then they can join in the second semester. But again, this is all if the government guidelines don't change and everything's, sort of socially distanced, but at the moment, there is a plan to run the lab course in the first semester. So I don't know if anybody wants to add anything to that.
I think, yes, so we're obviously trying to have a blend where we can. So we're going to have live sessions and we're going to have recordings. The lab course, we hope, will be able to take place face-to-face, obviously maintaining social distancing and the relevant safety procedures. So yeah, and we're trying to make sure the timetable, we are trying to keep classes on the same day. So it's a little bit more complex in the case of precision medicine because we've got the specialisms, and so we're having to make sure that we can fit our core courses around the specialism courses as well. But obviously we are going to be there to provide support as best we can for all for all these courses. So.
Okay, thank you. So I think the logical next thing to move on to then would be talking about, we've had one question which is sort of talking about coming to the end of the programme and timings, and also what this programme can lead to. So considering the majority of graduate jobs, PhDs generally have a September start date, will guidance beyond the MSc be given taking account of the November start and therefore finish date?
So that will finish later. I think I have the timetable here. So October 11th next year it will finish. The programme will finish. So
I mean, I think there's probably nothing to stop you, like when you're thinking about jobs, there's nothing to stop you applying a little bit earlier for jobs. I mean, then, you know, because it's perhaps going to take a month or so, you know, by the time you've applied and then you would take up a post, there would be a gap. And then obviously in that time, you would then get your results of your degree. And we obviously have designed the precision medicine programme with employability at the core. We've been in touch with a lot of good companies to find out what they're looking for in terms of the students and prospective employment. And so we really have tried to bring in these skills into this new programme as best we can.
Yeah, I would just
one more point.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, who wants to?
Sorry, just one more point on that. When this has become a problem in the past, what's tended to happen is that there's been liaison between myself as program director and the appropriate person. And if there's been a problem and if there's something dependent on the masters, which is not always the case, then that's something that can be bridged with a reference that tends to cover that. And in the past, whether it's medicine at Glasgow or companies, that's been sufficient to bridge the time gap. So although I take the point that it's going to finish a bit later, I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. Sorry, Laura.
No, it's fine. You've just covered what I was about to say there. In terms of if something is very dependent on the masters, then you will probably find that the majority of employers and PhD supervisors, if you're applying to a PhD programme, will be happy to take a reference and consider your application on the assumption that reference reflects your ability on the masters as well.
Okay.
Because by that time we'll have marked the PGT, the top component of the masters, and it will just be the project that'll be outstanding. So we'll have a good indication of where we expect you to end up. So.
There was one submitted question. I've just seen one about cancer research masters. It starts on the 9th of November. Is it also recommended that students arrive the 11th of January? Yes, that's currently the guidance, isn't it? Arrive on the 11th, and that includes your self-isolation time for 2 weeks to then start. Is that right, Alison?
Yeah, if students arrive on the 11th of January, they can self-isolate for 14 days after this period, because the lab sessions, which will be delivered on campus, hopefully, do not start till February. So there's been time factored in for self-isolation after the 11th of January.
Okay. We also had a question about face-to-face sessions. Will they be at the main or the Glasgow campus? I guess we could answer that for both.
Ours will be held at the Glasgow campus.
Okay, and precision medicine?
Hopefully the main campus, but again, it depends on social distancing and what's available, what rooms we can accommodate.
Okay, so it's TBC. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. So we've answered these ones. So we are now at 11 o'clock, but I appreciate, sorry guys, this was my fault. We started 2 minutes late, so I'm going to give everyone a final 2 minutes if they want to chuck in any more questions at us. But as I said earlier, if anything else occurs to you after this session, do contact your administrator. I think the email address should now be in the chat box. I think I've sent it to everyone. Or you can reply to the email that invited you to the session. That will be me, sarah.queen@glasgow.ac.uk, and I will then send it to somebody else who is more equipped to deal with the question. So we've had one more quick one. Could you tell us when we will be able to choose our optional courses for cancer research?
That will be closer to semester 2. I can't give you an exact date for that yet. It'll be closer to semester 2, probably within the first couple of months of the program, I would say. I can't give you an exact date for that.
Yeah, and then I guess this would be a good one to end on. Is there a way to get to know, I don't know about attendees. I'm not really allowed to be sharing all your information because I wouldn't do that, I promise. I wouldn't take your email addresses and mix you together, but I do feel like that is quite a good question about, especially given the online nature of the course, where's the scope for getting to know your fellow cohort, I suppose? Will that be built into the blended learning, and is there anything that we can do ahead of the start date for those who do want to connect to other people on the course?
So Carolyn and I have spoken about using Teams for the precision medicine cohort. So using it as more of a platform for the students to chat and get to know each other, but they can act as if they want us to answer something specific. So we're not really going to be sort of policing that, if that makes sense. That's an area for them to, a safe space for them to talk and get to know each other. But we will also have in the Moodles discussion forums and coffee mornings and things that we can all get together and have a chat. That's the plan. So.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. And anything else to add on that for cancer research? For
much the same. So we'll be looking at using Teams as a sort of more social space for the cohort to get to know each other, to discuss the program, to sort of cooperate on any issues they might have that sort of can work as a team. And then yeah, we'll be there if you want us, but not policing the conversation as Leslie says.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And is there are there sort of like social media? Maybe I was just thinking about, because the question was specifically about connecting with other people ahead of the session starting. So I don't know, that could potentially be a way if there were Facebook or Twitter or something like that. Is there anything like that for the programs?
I'm aware that there will be a college induction Moodle page, and there was for the September start, certainly there was some on-campus events, obviously 2 meters distancing taken into consideration, but I would advise all the students just to check their Moodle pages near the start and have a look at the college induction, because that provides information about careers, library, things like that. So it's a really worthwhile page.
And does that come out slightly before the start as well, if it's an induction?
Yeah, within each Moodle page, there should be a link to the college induction. Perfect,
that sounds good. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody, for joining us to watch. Thank you so much to all of our panelists. And as I said, if you've got any questions, you can email me or you can email your administrator. The email address should be in the chat box for both of the programs. So just before we finish up then, anything anyone wants to add from our panelists before we head off?
Well, hopefully we've covered everything, or we've covered almost everything, and hopefully we'll see you in November, or we'll see you in November.
Yes, definitely. Whatever format it takes, we do look forward to having you join us soon. So anything comes up, we promise we are a friendly bunch. That's what we've also tried to exhibit in this session. So feel free to shoot us an email if you've got any questions or concerns, and we'll be happy to chat to you about it. Right, we'll finish up there. Apologies for going a wee bit over, but thank you so much to all of our panelists for joining us, and we hope to welcome you soon. All right.
Thanks,
bye for now.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. Thank you.